So, in oh god, in the previous episode, let's see what happened. Johan did some light experiments. Marianne had an interview, and Johan and Marianne decided not to have a trip and that they're not great at sex. Cool. Let's get on with it. It's also interesting because, your taste is your taste, and you don't have to have morally correct or incorrect tastes. But it's interesting the kind of play that this series or this movie has against the other works of Ingmar Bergman, like, questions of art, questions of faith. In some ways, that this movie appeals to the base interests of a wider film-watching public. That this is like drama.
Samma kväll öppnar de ett försiktigt och osäkert samtal om sina sexuella relationer som inte alltid varit det bästa.
And again, talking about the things that are established in the interview, the public-facing idea of this relationship and the interior reality of it, something that Johan was pretty forward about was his sexual desirability. And the implication that they have a healthy sex life, and this previous episode reveals that that is a fabrication, or at least it's not true anymore.
Hej då, inte läsa mer än 5 minuter. Hej, godnatt.
Did they not have Bergman's daughter on this day? I love this, Marianne is a healthy, fulsome woman. She's, oh no. Don't say no. I mean, I don't want to recommend disordered eating habits either, but I don't think Marianne is in a position to, worry too much about her eating habits or her not her mental health, but her mental health in relationship to her eating. I also love her classes. They're just so stupid. They're very 70s. I want to see if this is built on further, but this movie in particular, not that I know Bergman's work well enough, but in contrast to his other works, this movie seems interested in profiles a little bit more than some of his other stuff that I've seen. And it's an interesting, because I spoke about this with the video for Yella, but I wouldn't say that Liv Ullmann, this is not to say that Liv Ullmann's unattractive, but she's obviously beautiful, but I wouldn't say that she has a strong face for profiles in the way that some other actors that I've seen are or have. But this is an interesting conversation that we can have in terms of eyeline. There's certain ways that Bergman chooses to shoot his subjects and what they're looking at and where they direct their energy towards or away from the camera. This is an interesting dynamic of their relationship, actually, that Marianne kind of censors herself and she utilizes Johan as a way of certifying actions that she wants to take. Because Johan is the man or whatever, he is able to manifest actions or desires that Marianne has for herself, to indulge, to be gluttonous, to pig out. So that's one of those things. I'm gonna pause for just 1 second. Yeah, so that's one of those things where it's it's functional within the dynamics of their relationship until it's not. Marianne uses her relationship with Johan to do things that she wouldn't otherwise be capable of doing. That's a good thing. Where it may be a bad thing is, does she need Johan in order to do those things? Maybe she can strike out on her own. Maybe she can establish her own desires and state her own interests without Johan. And does that affect her relationship with Johan? Or does it affect her relationship with Johan if she keeps on utilizing him to do the things that she wants? It's a complex movie. Who knows how much of it is intentional or has been seen and understood in the parts of the filmmakers or the actors, but in trying to replicate the experiences of reality, it has latched on to a lot of intricate, nuanced aspects of the human condition and human relationships.
Jag ringde upp igen med samma, men då hade du redan dragit ur kontakten.
Jag var ganska trött igår.
Inte strunta i det där.
Vad rolig du är. Du vill aldrig tala färdigt om någonting. Jag ska inte alls bli långrandig, min älskling.
I mean, we've established that
Bara säg att jag
Johan does not really like speaking within the terms of this relationship.
Om du inte vill gå
That was such a fake lighting setup. Come on, Sven, you could do better than that. You notice that the lights went up as she lit the candles, but not in a realistic way. Not in a realistic way at all.
Jag älskar dig. Säg om du inte vill klä ut dig i smoking. Det är faktiskt
Älskar
inget
dig.
allvarligt problem i vårt äktenskap.
It's a fundamental question of this movie. What is essential to their relationship? It's kind of a Theseus's ship, marriages, because it's made up of so many different components. And again, the question is, what's the load-bearing component? What will structurally change a marriage into not a marriage? Or what is it that makes a marriage a happy marriage that in its absence will make it a failed marriage?
Vet du att jag har gått ner nästan 2 kilo sista veckan?
Is she doing this for him? Because they had to talk about sexual desirability? I wonder if that's something that you should be left to think about or wonder, going from the previous episode to this one. Yeah, why can't we be fat and cheerful?
Och så var de väldigt nöjda med varandra, precis så tjocka och glada som de var.
And he tries to smile.
Kan inte du och jag bli som moster Miriam och onkel David och bara gå omkring och
I love these shots of Bergman where he chooses to cut off one subject with the other. That collaboration with Nyquist is beautiful.
Har det hänt någonting?
Paula.
Jag kom hit ikväll för att jag ville tala med om en sak. Jag har fått blivit kär, förstår du.
Man, you need to bring these things up earlier.
Kanske är det alldeles åt helvete. Antagligen är det åt helvete.
It might be.
Hon var tolk och sekreterare. Jag vill säga, egentligen så läser hon på sin examen.
This is obviously a really bad conversation that they're having. This might mean the end of their relationship. I wish he had brought this up sooner.
Inte på något sätt uppseendeväckande. Du skulle väl närmast tycka att hon...
But I will say for Johan, it's good that he's being honest about these things. The question is, why is he being honest? Is it he being honest because he wants to be honest with his wife and save their marriage? Or is he being honest because he wants to be out of this marriage? Something that's incredibly shocking for her is not just the admittance of something that happened, it's that he's admitting it. He's not somebody who's been transparent in this relationship, and so him being so honest in this moment is frightening for various reasons. Like a person who's happy, who speaks happily before they commit suicide, you wonder if he's changed his method of conversation so drastically now, it's because he's seeking a huge change from what they had before.
Det var misstänksam, jag har inte märkt någonting. Allt har ju varit som förut.
Yeah, when did things change? What was the load-bearing cause?
Bara gått omkring och varit en godtrogen doms.
How could you have noticed if he doesn't say anything to you?
Nej, du har inte förstått någonting. Men du har ju heller aldrig varit särskilt skarpsynt.
That's a horrible thing to say to her. She observes your needs all the time.
Varför talar du om den här saken just nu?
Why tonight?
Varför har du plötsligt så bra?
He's going on a trip with her. The trip that he didn't go on with Marianne. Don't say it. That's not gonna be good.
Vi reser till Paris imorgon.
No!
Ja, jag vill bort från alltihopa.
That's shocking.
I alla fall en tid.
That is shocking.
That is shocking.
Oh,
Paula har fått ett stipendium.
fuck.
Hon tänkte utnyttja det just i höst.
A study grant? How old is she?
Så reser vi imorgon eftermiddag.
Tomorrow. Not even a chance to discuss this. Tomorrow. He's ruined it. He's ruined it. This was not the time. He should have talked to her earlier.
Vill jag helst till fan i alltihop. Försöker att inte ha dåligt samvete. Ja, det är så här, Marianne. Det är ingenting att göra åt det.
Yeah, he only brings this up at the point where they can't do anything about it.
Lägg oss det sent. Du ska väl tidigt iväg imorgon.
Terrible. How do people do this to each other? Terrible. Girl wanted to have a meal with you, and you fucking do this to her. Terrible. She's carrying away your tray, you fucking douchebag. Ah. Marriages fucking suck. But this is the thing that I want to communicate. It's not just the act. It's not just that he's done this horrible thing. People are strong enough or resilient enough to work their way out of destructive acts. But he doesn't want to be here. The way he communicated what happened shows that he doesn't want to be here. And that's the devastating thing. How can somebody wait for so long to tell you that they don't want to be here? And I've done the same thing. Obviously, we've all done the same thing. But how horrible to experience it from the other side for a person to wait so long before telling you they don't want this. And again, the profile of Liv Ullmann. Just to get it out of the way, because I know what's going to happen in this scene. They're going to have sex. And that's messy as shit. But people are messy as shit.
Om du vill så kan jag åka in och hämta den.
Paula.
Jag kan packa din resväska också om du vill. Du är inget bra på det.
She's pleading with him. She's trying to say, I still believe in this relationship. I'm going to try and work this out. Despite you spitting in my face, I will pack your bags for you. This scene is so tremendous. Don't take a book with you into bed. Are you a fucking jackass?
Jag har begärt och fått 6 månaders tjänstledighet.
He's been planning this entire thing for so long.
7-8 månader minst. Jag tycker lika bra att bryta upp med samma.
And this is, I think this might be part of why they shot this in profile. I think we were establishing a language of seeing only half of Ullmann's face, of Marianne's face. I don't know what the meaning of it is, but I think that's the image that we want to retain from this episode. Half of her face concealed. The way he talks about it, you think this was an abusive marriage, that he's been moving around his finances for the time that he could leave. It's disgusting. It's disgusting that this process of financially dissolving the relationship, women do it when they're leaving an abusive household, and do it when they are fucking a secretary. But the human thing underneath it is they're both doing it because they need a separation from somebody that they don't know how to communicate with.
Vad din mamma tycker, vad barnen anser. Om vi väl lämpligen ska anordna den middagen och om vi inte i alla fall borde bjuda min pappa. Jag vet att vi har haft ett bra liv.
Can you talk about why you don't want this anymore? Anything? Can you reveal something about yourself? I don't know what that means. I need you to talk.
Men kan du förstå den här bitterheten? Jag vet inte vad jag ska kalla det, den här bitterheten. Jag kan inte hitta på några bättre ord.
Okay, well that's getting somewhere.
Ingen kan ju förklara det för mig heller eftersom jag inte har en enda människa att tala med.
That he's grown to
utom Erik Bromeus, han är ju själslig analfabet så han har ju inte så värst mycket att komma med utom sina pengar.
Despise her.
Bra i den här situationen.
He has contempt for her.
Jag förstår ingenting. Jag förstår inte det jag kallar den här bitterheten som bara blir värre och värre.
Okay, getting more of a sense of why this was shot in profile, because this is the first episode of true discord between them, and so it needs to show the separation between them. And that was actually something that was earlier established in like increments. We can argue, because profile is a pretty natural way to shoot subjects. But in some ways, this language was established in earlier episodes. So I'm thinking about them at dinner together when they were discussing the possibility of a trip.
Flickorna med sina dumma pretentiösa fasoner. Varför har vi skämt bort dem på det här hysteriska sättet? Kan du säga mig det? Det har bara gått åt helvete. Ingen vet varför.
In the end, she's going to end up a silly woman, and she won't know why. And he's going to end up a ridiculous man, and he won't know why.
Ja, jag vet precis vad du menar. Vad ska föräldrarna säga? Vad ska din syster tänka? Vad ska umgänget tycka? Jävlar vad det kommer att pratas. Hur ska det bli
It's,
för flickorna? Och vad
I mean, it's not really the gossip. Maybe it is, but from my point of view, she's made her entire life about serving your invisible needs, and then to find that you wanted something completely different.
Det ska bli skönt.
Det var inte det jag menade.
Alltså, vad menar
And
du då?
maybe him wanting something completely different is a result of you meeting all of his needs. That's terrible. That's terrible. It's awful the ways we find to resent each other.
Varför ska du plåga dig?
Det är inte självplågeri. Jag vill veta hur hon är.
Whatever
Det är
she
mycket
is,
värre
it's not something you can build
föreställningar som
yourself
man inte har
into.
konturer på.
This is one of those, again, the portrayal of Marianne as irrational or hysterical. But I want you to understand, it's because this is a shock. Because none of this makes sense to her, and her reactions as a result are irrational. There's no center, there's no gravity to her world anymore. It's physically impossible. It was axiomatic to her that she met Johan's needs at a sacrifice of her own identity, at a sacrifice to her own needs. And to have that be so
Hon har en vacker figur.
thoroughly
Väldigt
dismissed,
vackra bröst, verkar det.
it's a destruction of her entire identity.
Hon har vackra bröst.
Vackert leende. Gammal är hon då?
23.
What do you need out of a 23-year-old?
Hon har aldrig varit
Disgusting.
särskilt lycklig. Hon är mycket illusionsfri. Hon
You know that she built up all of her illusions for you, right?
Hon säger att hon vet att jag kommer att gå tillbaka till dig.
She'd be right, 'cause you're an idiot.
Ibland är det som
Because this woman's built her entire life around you, and as much as you resent her for it, nobody else is gonna do this for you, because you're not that fucking important.
Men det svåra med Paula är att hon har en rent förbannad intuition. Eller också är det jag som inte är någon bra lögnare.
The things that he likes about
Hon
Paula
ser på mig med samma nät och
are also things that he likes about, I don't
Hon
know.
har en
They're also things that he likes about Marianne. Him saying that she's intuitive as a virtue, Marianne has also similarly been intuitive. He just eventually worked her out. He found the one lie that he could hide from her.
Paula ska komma.
And he'll find that with Paula too.
Men jag tror att den här katastrofen kan vara både din och min stora livschans. Du.
Heter Paula det som har intalat dig såna dumma?
No, he came up with all of this
Nej,
himself.
tror jag äntligen inte får lov att vara.
Det här med Paula, det är en katastrof både för dig och mig.
Oh my god.
Jag vet ingenting.
I really don't want to hear it anymore. I really don't. You're not bringing up any of the issues that you have in this relationship. You're just talking about your fucking girl problems with somebody else. Who cares?
Kom och ligg inte med. Kom då.
But I suppose this is playing out a dynamic that they need with each other, that she has to mother him, care for him. So even if he can't state his issues with her, if he's stating issues that he has, that's a way that he can care for him.
Kan du välja om?
The aristocrats. It's pitiful. It's pitiful the things that are going on behind closed doors. It's pitiful what we're doing to each other in private moments.
Ska vi sova?
We're so fucking high and mighty. Everybody's so fucking virtuous in public. And in private, we're just fucking maggots. I hate that she has to baby him in the last moments of their relationship. They can't move forward. It's just stuck where it is. They just play out the same psychodrama over and over again. You might think that there's like hope or potential for this relationship. From watching this episode right now, I'm like, no, there isn't. They keep replaying the same thing. They don't address the actual issues that they have with each other. I can't believe this got a sequel. A sequel implies a happy ending. I almost watched Saraband back in the day. I don't know what I would have made of it back then. I'm glad I waited until after I actually watched this. Especially after I watched this with a little bit more life experience. This fucking baby, I am just mortified. There's nothing wrong with displaying need in a relationship, by the way. I think it's a good thing. This is my trappings. This is my psycho shit. That I think that you shouldn't be so reliant on somebody else, that you shouldn't impose on somebody else. That's my bullshit. People want to be needed. She reaffirms this dynamic because it's really, really satisfying caring for somebody else. But obviously this has hit a bad spot. I don't exactly blame... I do blame Johan, but I also understand him to a degree as well. He feels suffocated in this marriage. I want to point out that Marianne feels suffocated in this marriage as well. It's just a goddamn shame that neither of them has chose to talk about it. Or neither of them chose to talk about it in a way that they showed sincerity, that they were serious about it. They had such little conversations and reached such little conclusions. They're not having fun in bed anymore. Well, maybe relationships are not enjoying sex. They should go on a trip together. Well, maybe that's not that important right now. Maybe they should have a baby together. Well, they wouldn't really be having it together, so I guess not. Can you just do it yourself?
En annan sak som är mer problematisk. Vad ska vi göra med din fars födelsedag? Vi ska ju dit på middag, vet du. Vore väldigt tacksam om du kunde ringa och säga.
Please, can you just do this? Will you do this?
Kan jag inte skriva till honom kanske? Det här med föräldrarna är det värsta.
Yeah, good thing you'll be in Paris for 6 months. You fucking idiot.
Det är väl lika bra att du får reda på det idag. Hon ertappade Paula och mig en morgon.
Is that what's going to infuriate her? That somebody else entered into this before she did?
Rätt så pinsamt. Det är ungefär en månad sedan min...
And she didn't tell you?
Sönder och så var vi åt på ett ställe i närheten.
Now she can't trust her anymore.
Jag gjorde så mycket om vi låg över en natt hemma hos oss. Jag gick ut till tanten och bad henne hålla käften. Kärringen praktiskt taget dreglade.
It's a conspiracy. Everybody lied to you. Oh, that's destroyed her. She does not like that. She was not told... He oh my god. Nobody told her.
Behöver ju inte tala med fröken Andersson. Vad skönt.
Nobody told her. Everybody was in on it. This entire world is against her. Oh my god. Marianne's gonna get a fucking ulcer. This is why women who marry die earlier. Men just fucking suck something out of them. It's also interesting the way that that played out behind the door frame. This interesting kind of divide or divorce from the emotions of it. The like kind of like staticness of this movie, the ways in which it plays to conventions, perhaps theatrical conventions. I may be misreading it, but perhaps like stage or soap opera or television conventions, creates an interesting kind of disconnect in the movie where things aren't highlighted in a filmic way. They aren't like exaggerated or emphasized in a filmic way. They're de-emphasized and depersonalized in a television way, and that perhaps makes them more interesting or more engaging. It's not just about emotions. It's not just about like tricking you or deceiving you like TV does into feeling something without considering what or why it's what it is or why it's happening. You're given enough distance, I think, to perhaps feel things, but perhaps understand things if given enough. If you take the initiative for it.
Hallå Fredrik? Det är Marianne, förlåt att jag väckte er. Jo Fredrik, det är någonting jag måste tala med dig om. Jag måste bara ha någon att tala med.
She really needs to
Du
talk.
och Birgit är våra vänner. Det är alldeles overkligt, Fredrik.
Her entire life has been turned upside down. Her understanding of the world has been unmoored.
Johan har blivit kär i en annan kvinna. Hon heter Paula. De ska åka till Paris idag.
That's the act.
Kan du inte tala med
That's not the reason, though.
Behöver inte resa iväg så där med en gång.
People are going to obsess over the act and not understand the cause. You already knew. You already knew. Everybody already knew. This is the secret story of, I mean, like, I think some people will understand it better than others, but this is the story that's being expressed. This is what Marianne is realizing, that everybody was in on this, that this was a conspiracy. It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Har ni vetat om det hela tiden och inte sagt någonting till mig?
Everybody has taken his side. Why have they done this? Because it's the social norm. Because they don't want to interfere. Because it's their business. And in the end, they have no loyalty to her. Okay, I think this is making it more explicit. But everybody knew. That's the true horror of this. This thing, a marriage, something you're supposed to have with one other person, two people in a marriage. You find out the relationship of intimacy, of trust, that you have with your partner, they're having with everybody else, and just not you. It could drive you crazy. You could drive a person crazy. You could drive a person mad. I'm sick. I'm sick. I'm sick. I don't know what to do. I mean, I want to express to you that while I'm entirely on Marianne's side in this debacle, I do understand Johan's position. I don't understand his actions. I understand his position. I think he's reached the wrong conclusions. I understand his position. Yeah, this is one of those, this is like this crisis point in this story where I think this is to do with another thing, and if I have made a video about it, I'll point to it here. But this obsession that people have with the act, with the moment of trespass, with the moment of social upheaval, people only want to concentrate on the act itself. People only want to discuss the social taboo, and they kind of, as a result, ignore the warning signs or the social imbalances that lead to this point of crisis. And, you know, only hindsight can reveal all of the causes that lead up to an ultimate act, an act representing the culmination of all of these kind of issues and all these hang-ups and all these miscommunications. But if we want to prevent these things from happening again and again, we can't keep punishing the act. We need to practice a bit of foresight and a bit of how to change social conditions so that when these things happen, they're not so horrible. And so the social conditions of the dissolution of Marianne and Johan's marriage, some of them aren't preventable, but some of them are. This, social aspect where everybody feels like they don't need to say anything, or they don't need to communicate with Marianne about these issues, like that the woman needs to fend for herself, that there's no like social protections for her whatsoever. Those things need to be aided. The things that need to be aided are the social pressures on marriage to be fully functional, to have a fully functional marriage, and leave all of the kind of issues or the kind of hang-ups in the closet or not discussed. Those things need to be brought to light. Those things need to be normalized. Communication between couples, it's hard for everybody. This is one of those things where I'm like, is this solvable? Is this going to be a problem forever? But like, social conditions need to be made where people like have an easier time communicating with each other instead of bottling up their feelings all the time. There's all sorts of like social causes at the root of this that aren't being discussed, and the fixation is on the act, the ultimate act of going off to Paris with Paula, the ultimate act of leaving your wife, and you kind of ignore all the stuff that kind of led to this happening. Yeah, that's episode 3. I'm exhausted. Holy shit. What the fuck? Just fucking disaster all around. Let's go on to episode 4. In the meantime, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for more old, obscure, and art house films. And until next episode, keep watching good movies.